Hello everyone, I am Surrenderlot Reviews and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Generation 1 Transformers. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And, random fact about my cat society is that there was one warlord kingdom that ended up promoting some random person just so now that person could overthrow the person who promoted them. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the first episode we're gonna look at is the Rebirth, Part 1, where the Autobots crash land on a planet called Nebulos and have to help a bunch of rebels fight off the Nebulan government. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts out with the Decepticons attacking Autobot City for the umpteenth time, and it seems like they're actually after something, but what it is, well, we don't know. And they managed to steal it, and, well, Optimus Prime has been having some visions about something happening, and the Decepticons are actually going to go to Cybertron next. And we also get introduced to a bunch of characters, and I feel like I gotta bring this up. Okay, I feel like I should probably bring this up, and this is something that I did bring up in the first episode of this whole series, but I feel like it's a really good time for me to bring it up now, because I think the biggest problem with the show is just that there's too many characters, and this was a problem throughout the show, but this is especially a big problem in this season, because, well, there's only 3 episodes in this season, and literally in the first episode, we're just getting machine gunned out a bunch of names, like Punch and a bunch of other people, I don't even remember their name, and okay, in like the first 3 seasons, we had people like Hound and Smokescreen, and both of them either had episodes dedicated to them or were very prominent in the show, and throughout the whole series, you knew who they were. You knew what their deal was, you knew what they did, and if they were to just appear, you would probably know who they were. Or, if you want to know Decepticons, Tripticon and the King himself, Soundwave, we knew who they were. We knew what their deal was, we knew what they did, and they were used very well throughout the show. But here, you just get a bunch of people like this one guy who can quite literally just control people, and it just kind of doesn't really feel, or kind of just seems like it came out of nowhere, I guess I should say, and you don't really know a whole lot about these people other than you might catch their name, and it's just being machine gunned out, and this is especially a big problem in this season because, well, there's only 3 episodes, and guess what? There's even more characters to learn who they are and what their deal is. Anyways, so the Decepticons attack Cybertron, and yeah, one of the sweeps ends up activating an energy thing with this thing that's a key, and, well, luckily Cerebros and Spike end up shutting it down, but not before sending the rocket ship that they came into the energy thing blasting off with a bunch of Autobots inside of it. Meanwhile, with the Autobots, they crash land on a planet, and the planet's locals are little technophobic and not very friendly to them, and they end up getting captured by them. But luckily, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, well, the Decepticons are there, and that convinces the locals to maybe free them so now they can help. And in the fight, well, as it turns out, humans are probably pretty good at also fighting the Decepticons and the locals, and Daniel ends up getting injured, and we get a bit more of an explanation as to why these people are a bit technophobic.
Hive. The machines maintain the environment of Nebulos. Except for out here. They never come out here. But the machines are also enforcers. Wandra, look out! Enforcers for the Hive. For here on Nebulos, it is the people who serve the machines. and the machines serve the Hive. 10 rulers and their supreme leader, Zarek, living far under the ground. They've developed their mental powers to the point where they can control machines with their very thoughts. But their bodies have weakened and are totally useless. The machines are the Hive's eyes and ears and fists. We Nebulons discovered what the Hive was, and we've been fighting them ever since.
And so, the Autobots and the Nebulons come up with the idea that maybe it'd be good to work together. And not just work together, but the Nebulons could probably help the Autobots with some head control stuff. And the episode ends in a to be continued. And overall, I will say that this episode is pretty okay, I guess. I like the idea how humans, or I guess Nebulons, would become team partners for the Autobots. I guess I kind of like how you can see the parallels between the Hive and the Decepticons, and I guess aside from my rant from earlier, that's all I gotta say. I guess with that, on to the next episode, which is The Rebirth, Part 2, where we continue off right where we left off. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, after a quick recap of the last episode, well, the headmasters, as they are called, are officially put onto the bodies of the Autobots, and the headmasters end up going and taking their new forms out for a test drive against the Hive, and they do pretty good against them. And Optimus Prime goes to get answers about what is happening on that planet from Vector Sigma. Meanwhile, with the Autobots, well, they end up also giving the Decepticons a pretty good thrashing, and end up freeing the Autobots that were captured in the previous battle against them, and also destroy their ship. But meanwhile, with the Decepticons, we get this scene here.
Tired of being pushed around all the time.
I am Zarak. I have a little deal to offer you. One which will enable you to defeat your adversaries. And all it will cost you is your heads.
And after a bit of convincing, the Decepticons agree, but for the animal Decepticons. And well, they also decide to add their weapons masters. And Optimus Prime gets a few answers from Alpha Trion in Vector Sigma in this scene here.
Alpha Trion.
I've been expecting you, Optimus.
Then you know why I've come.
Nebulos. That which you seek is there.
Nebulos? But how did Brainstorm and the others?
Plasma energy. The chamber was opened momentarily, and a bolt of plasma energy struck their ship, sending them millions of miles into space.
One bolt did all that?
It is raw energy. It seeks out any entity that transforms matter into energy and overloads them totally. Only organic life is unaffected. But hear me, Prime. A second golden age of Cybertron is almost at hand. But whether this comes to pass depends on the merging of an Autobot's life with that of a human being.
How do you know this, Alpha Trion?
Vector Sigma itself. It was Vector Sigma who arranged for Galvatron to learn of the key's existence.
Alpha Trion. It makes no sense.
Do not question Vector Sigma's motives. The parameters of its thought matrix are greater than you can imagine. A final warning, Prime. Whatever happens, the key to the plasma energy chamber must not be destroyed. Vector Sigma commands it.
Meanwhile, with the Decepticons on Nebulos, well, they end up, getting their heads made into headmasters and also their weapons made into target masters. And, well, they end up making short work with the Autobots at first and getting the key back. But luckily for the Autobots, well, Optimus Prime arrives on Nebulos, and, yeah, we get introduced to the Autobot Target Masters, and they go over to the Hive and Decepticon base to get the key back. And while they manage to do that, well, it turns out that the Hive were busy making, their big old city into Scorponok, and the episode ends in a to be continued. Okay, I think my biggest problem with this episode is that most of it is kind of just introducing new people and new characters, and I will say this as in the last episode as to what I said about this season has way too many characters, and how we are quite literally just machine gunned in a bunch of new characters, and we don't really get time to get to know them, and I think this episode also suffers from a similar problem as some episodes in, like, season 1, 2, and 3 did, which was, it kind of just went through the motions and kind of didn't really feel like it really did a whole lot other than just this stuff happened and that's it. And I'm gonna probably say this, I'm gonna probably forget this episode, like, by the end of today, and in all honesty, I think this episode kind of should have been trimmed down a little, and probably could have been, I don't know, integrated a little bit better into part 3, but that's really all I gotta say. But I think with that, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.